former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State and author of the briefing book, Joel Rubin. All right, Joel, senior U.S. officials are telling us that this week is, quote, critically important to try to get this deal done. There is a sense that patience and time is running thin. Yeah. But, you know, is Putin responding to pressure from the Trump administration here to try to make a deal, or is this a delay tactic?
Well, Christina, it'd be great if there was pressure. I think that could be quite useful in this instance. Remember, there was supposed to be a deal on day one. We're almost at day 100. We don't have a deal yet. And for President Trump, he has to decide really how much he wants to lean in on Vladimir Putin. He keeps on leaning in on Volodymyr Zelensky. He sees Ukraine saying they want a ceasefire, and Putin does not respond, and then responds with false ceasefire promises like he did over the Easter weekend. So I hope that there's a little more pressure on Putin. These are going to be separate bilateral talks. They're not going to get all sides together, so we'll see. But my fear is that we are continuing to make premature concessions to Russia rather than to tell Vladimir Putin he needs to stop this war and come to the table.
Well, and when it comes to those concessions, right, when Putin launched the invasion in February 2022, there were two things he wanted: territory from Ukraine and to stop Ukraine from joining NATO. These are things the Trump administration has already openly said they're willing to give Russia. So what else is he going to ask for in a bilat, and what leverage do the Europeans who are meeting with Zelensky tomorrow in London or anyone have to get these folks to a deal?
I mean, you just laid out the problem with premature concessions. These are leverage points that we should not be giving up until there is a final deal, if we even should give them up. You know, the concern is that it looks like Steve Witkoff going to Vladimir Putin is hearing what Putin wants and then communicating that to Ukraine rather than communicating to Putin what he needs to do. And so exiting NATO, providing recognition of Crimea, ending military aid to Ukraine, these are all for Putin. And a recent poll came out by Pew a couple weeks ago. It said that Americans, 43%, say that we are biased too much towards Russia and only 3% towards Ukraine. It's obvious that this is an imbalanced negotiation right now.
And quickly, there's a new report out today that Marco Rubio is about to restructure the State Department, you know, reduce staff by 15%, which we've seen before. But, you know, the thing that flags to me is they're going to close and consolidate more than 100 bureaus worldwide. What does that do to U.S. foreign policy and America's ability to exert leverage in situations just like this if you don't have range or reach around the world?
Yeah, I know, Christine. I've worked in the Bush administration as a civil servant. I worked in the Obama administration as an appointee. What the takeaway is for me is that this is the end of American soft power.
You think it's that serious?
I think it's that serious. I think the downgrading and the termination of USAID, now the folding of it into the State Department, but not even naming it any longer as part of the state, as well as the elimination of the overall undersecretary for environmental matters and sort of downgrading human rights and democracy. We're seeing really a drastically reduced American footprint around the world.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Joel Rubin, thanks you so much for
Christine.
joining us.